We are bombarded with the news, what's happening between the conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. So it looks like we are distracted. It looks like people are forgetting what's happening in Ukraine and the big, huge toll on human lives, women, children. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for great possibility to be here. And there was planned that President Poroshenko will take part in the panel. Unfortunately, he was not allowed to leave the country. So he sends his greetings to everybody. Answering your question, you're absolutely right. The one person who benefited from what the hell is going on in the Middle East right now is Mr. Putin. It's so clear. It's not Israel, it's not Palestinians, it's nobody in the world. It's just one man, Mr. Putin. And I don't believe in coincidences, you know. So, yes, the world is distracted, and that is bad news, because Putin is not stopped. I want to be frank with you. The situation in Ukraine is extremely difficult. The situation on the front lines is extremely difficult. Russia is becoming stronger. That's something I need to tell you. Putin is more dangerous now than he was 2 years ago, before invasion to Ukraine. Because Russian army, yes, they lost a lot of people, but they don't care. Yes, they lost a lot of tanks and things like this, but instead of this, they became battle-hardened. And just imagine this monster. Just recently, they increased their army for more than 100,000 people again. So now they have 2 million people army. They have a real battle experience of the war of 21st century. Just 2 armies in the world have this big experience. It's just Ukrainian and Russian army. Their economy is on war footage. They are not restricted anymore by any sanctions. They decided that they survived it. That's one question why the sanctions don't work how they should. But still, they decided that they survived it. This is a monster. And just God save us from this. But if they would be successful in Ukraine, and we will do everything we can, and I'm sure in our success that it would not happen, but if it would happen, if they will occupy Ukraine, 1 million more Ukrainian men, and you will have 3 million army, battle-hardened, without any restrictions, and with eager to fight. And Putin is not going to take country back to peaceful life. You need to know this. He wants to live in the war. So after the finish of hostilities in Ukraine, in this or other way, if Putin will not be defeated, he will attack again. And this monster is on the doors. The barbarians are at the gates of the free world, of Europe. This is a bad news, and we need to speak about it loudly and clear and frankly, that today Putin should be defeated in Ukraine. He is still not. And for this, the courage steps should be made. Ukraine should be in focus, with all respect to all other situations in the world. And only by this, we can have a secure future. Without this, it would be a disaster.
We hear discussions in policy circles that we might end up with a frozen conflict. And I want to hear from you very briefly, what are the consequences for the European security and transatlantic security if we have a frozen conflict in Ukraine?
Definitely that will be embolden Putin, because he will feel that he has some success. As I told you, he will never stop. Then the whole world will say, the West is weak. Mm-hmm. The West is weak. You told we will be with Ukraine as long as it takes, but is it really 2 years? Is it really 2 years span which made West so tired? That will be the question. And other countries will ask, can we rely on the West? Can we rely on the free world? These will be the consequences. Other countries will say, China will be emboldened. They will watch and say, wow, why not us? Mm-hmm. Why shouldn't we do something? And I just want to remind you that, speaking about Ukraine, it's very important that we can be, and for us, security guarantees are everything. We want to become a member of NATO. We want the next summit here in Washington to be a real success. Today is a very sad anniversary for Ukraine. It's the anniversary of Budapest Memorandum. It's today. 29 years ago, Ukraine gave up its third in the world nuclear weapon arsenal for some security guarantees, which appeared to be nothing, absolutely nothing. So now we need a real security guarantees. But it's not that Ukraine is a beggar here that we are asking. Ukraine also has what to invest. Today, the main asset of Ukraine is Ukrainian armed forces. So if Russia today is really, probably now they are already the second army in the world after the United States and before China, because what we know about Chinese army, we don't know, we haven't seen it in action, fortunately. And we don't know how strong it is. But what is the third army in the world? It's Ukrainian army. Because we are battle-hardened, we know what to do, and ask yourself if the West will need people in trenches near Tehran or anywhere else in the world. Who will be in these trenches? Yep. Ukrainians are ready, but in exchange for security guarantees and being a real part of the Western world. We want to be, and we deserve it. Thank you. Ukraine
actually is one of the countries that has been living under these hybrid tools and misinformation, disinformation. And actually, this is also where the war is happening in the information space. What is your take?
Yeah, Russia started this war far away and many years ago, and it's always started. The modern wars are starting with the wars for the brains. That's the reality, and we need to be strong enough to stop both Russian tanks and Russian propaganda. And tell me what is more dangerous. I couldn't answer you.
How should the transatlantic community also collaborate better on other issues, such as climate change, public health, humanitarian crisis?
I will just give you one example. I have two sons. My smaller kid is 5 years old, and a year ago, when he was 4, I was with him on a playground in Odessa, and there were explosions in the city. And I'm responsible for my kid. I was nervous. And he said to me, "Daddy, don't worry, this is ours." He knows the difference. He knew at his 4 years age the difference between air defense working and Russian missiles coming. And I just want to tell you, I don't want any kid in the world know this. And this is the responsibility of our generation, to protect your kids from knowing this. And we can do this, because free world is strong enough. The only thing we are lacking is a leadership and, being strong enough to make a courageous decision and boldness. So with boldness and leadership, we are strong enough to protect democracy, we are strong enough to protect our kids and to build a better future. I believe in this. Without this, it is no sense to be here and to do anything. So I am a believer.